Look at that. Now we won't miss any.
There we go.
We won't miss any important, juicy information.
Yeah, man.
Because it's not been forever, but it feels like it's been forever because we've just had so much shit going on.
Yeah. Wait, just to start from scratch, we were discussing Joel being up from 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I realized we just picked up like literally as we just went into the conversation. Like people ain't gonna fucking know what we're talking about.
Yeah. So essentially, we were just chatting about, when you just have that feeling about constantly like you're forgetting something. And then I just put it down to being on like 2 monsters and it being like midday and then realizing that I've been up since like 5. So that's probably the issue.
Your days are so long. Like that was what I fucking hate about prep is like your days 100%. Are so fucking long, man.
Like I literally had this exact same conversation with someone today as I was leaving the gym. I was like, I can deal with like 3 hours sleep. Like that's not the issue. The problem I had when I was doing that was like, I'd wake up in the morning and be like, okay, it's 7 hours until I go to work. Yeah. And it's like imagine doing a day's work before going for a day's work.
Yeah, that's fucking horrible.
That was the fucking shit bit. But anyway, the crazy, more important thing is you've had a holiday, you've had a mini cut, you've changed coaches.
Yeah,
you're
changing classes.
Yeah, is there anything you haven't done in the last month?
No, man. Holy shit. So I'm going mad. I think that. Firstly, I think just to clarify, today is going to just be Joe and I because Billy is away on holibobs. So I think we'd intended on doing like individual ones at some point. I think it's a bit more personable. They get to kind of like, obviously you've got followers that won't know me and vice versa. So
exactly, yeah.
It's probably a good opportunity for us to kind of like really kind of introduce ourselves, I think, but we can delve on that towards the end for sure. But anyway, yeah, the third Musketeer is not here. It will likely be even better so we can just bitch about Joe for 45 minutes. Talk about how small and how shitty his arms are.
Oh, and he's always got fucking shit facial hair and he's got a fucking top knot. What kind
of receding hairline is awful.
So
all of us who are literally balding.
Mate,
look at that, bro.
I didn't want to say anything, mate. It's just because you've upped the dose.
Honestly, man, look at that. It's getting worse, man.
To be fair, though, you do look better with longer hair.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think you look better with longer hair.
Oh, wait, hold on. Where the fuck is your mustache went?
Like, literally that night after you guys abused me.
Oh, did you?
It like disappeared like straight away. Plus, I have a little bit more of a diet face now. Like, you can see dimples again. So I was like, okay, I can just cut it off and it's not so bad.
Yeah.
I didn't have that like...
That's the best part, I think, about when you're dieting. Is like you have there's this threshold or this like middle ground where you look the most handsome that you've ever been.
Yeah.
And then it just like, you hit that point, it's good, and then it just goes downhill from there.
Yeah, it's like 2 weeks later, and it's like, what the fuck just happened to all of my skin on my face? It's just like, it just disappears.
Yeah, fucking horrible, man. Your skin is like, your skin on your face turns into like foreskin. It's just foreskin for your mouth.
Yeah, like 100%. I do this thing, where people are like, oh, if you want to be like stage lean, you pinch the back of your hand, and you have to be that lean all over. I find myself sitting around just like. am I there?
I'd just be grabbing points of contact where there is no fab, like my knee. I'm fucking ready.
Your elbow. Fuck, I am so lean.
Yeah, I'm nice, bro. Dick skin everywhere.
Right, it's just that point of prep now where I'm like, things are now starting to taper off to the shitty part where like you're constantly flat, sleep's a little bit affected. Like, it's not been too bad this week because we've had essentially like a mini diet break.
What's Josh done for that?
So for the last X amount of weeks, I was on 300 protein, 200 carb, 50 fat. And then this week...
Wait, sorry, how much carb?
200 carbs.
Fuck, man.
Yeah. So
that is, bear in mind, like, people that don't know, Joe is fucking massive. He's like, what, you're 6 foot?
6'3", 6'4".
Yeah.
200. I started this diet at 200, like high 280s, low 290s. I'm now like 254 this morning.
That's the thing, is like, people probably look at you and think, oh, he can probably diet on this amount of carbs, no bother. But like, you, by the looks of things, and up to show, had to dig harder than all of us. Like, such low carb days, output high.
With dieting, for me, it's never an issue of how physically hard it is, because like, I'll just like, I'm too stubborn to stop. Like, even if Josh went, okay, you're fucked, we need to stop, like I'd be like, nah, fuck it, we can carry on pushing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just a stubborn dick. Like, I'll do it. My problem is, it's like mentally I become very like unstable, is the only way of putting it. Like everything becomes, am I good enough? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing like I look at it and Josh is like, yeah, so this year we want to be looking at like winning the show and looking to compete at the British finals. And in my head, I'm like, well, what's the fucking point? Like, the guys in the British final are fucking 3 levels above me. Like, and this is like 10, 11 weeks out, like nowhere near the show. Like, you don't even know what you're going to look like yet. You just have like a rough idea. So it's like, physically, it's like, if Josh put me on a fucking depletion diet now for the last 10 weeks, like I'd get it done. But like mentally,
mental stress would be
like
overrule it.
Exactly. He would have to like literally hold my hand every single day, where I'd just be like, why are we doing this? Like, I'm like the perfect military soldier. Like, it's like, jump over this wall in front of a line of fire, you're gonna die, but I've told you to do it. And I'll be like, aye, aye, Captain. Like, I'll fucking do it. Like, don't question it. But yeah, I'm just,
I think there's merit to that, but I also think that you gotta just fucking, after a certain point though, you'll dig too much. And
yeah,
with you, like, if you're so fucked mentally, your carb up's just going to go to shit. Like, we need you to relax, comfortable, not stressed.
100%. And that was what fucked up our last show. Was where I think the misunderstanding was, I was saying to Josh, like, X amount of weeks out, I was like, okay, I'm like redlining. Like, I'm at the point now where it's like, it's bad. And I think he understood that as like a first time and not understanding how prep was. And sort of was like, okay, we can push another couple of weeks, whatever, try get that last bit of condition. And I didn't question it. I just went, okay, like, I will fucking do it. Like, let's go, let's keep going. Where realistically, we could have probably pulled back a little bit towards the end of the show and probably been better, because I would have dropped off a little bit of that stress.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. And I think that's why he was so keen this time to be like, okay, we're 10 weeks out, we're ahead of schedule. Let's just pull back for a week, have a deload, take that diet break, like you said, and then we'll carry on pushing after. Because like 10 weeks essentially is enough time for like some people to do a prep alone, let alone like be ahead of schedule and still prep. So,
and so we went from 200 carb to 350.
So this week I've gone to 500.
Oh, good. And how's your weight? What's happened there?
So the first 2 days I dropped 3 pounds.
Day after day, or collectively?
Collectively after 2 days. And then it's then held steady for the last like 3 or 4 days.
That's wild. So I wonder if he's going to just drop you to 4 or drop you to like 3 to 5.
So
or
the
if
plan,
go back to baseline.
So the plan that in my head I was like, fuck it, let's just dig again. I was like, let's just go straight back and like pull out. And he was like, no, there's no point. Like, you're in a deficit regardless of what we put you on. So his plan is to go back to 300 protein, because this week obviously carbs gone up, so protein's come down. So this week's been 250 protein, 500 carbs, 60 fat. So bump up in fat and carbs, reduction in protein. And then as of next week, again, it's like increase protein, take away the carb, take away the fat. So it's back to 250 grams of carbs with 50 grams of fat and the 300 grams of protein. Right. So it's basically just swapping back round with a 50 gram of carb increase.
Cool.
But like,
are you going to change your drugs at all? I can't really see them doing.
We've only just added in T3, T4.
Yeah.
And that was it.
You used them last time.
Used T3 and T4 last time, but I think off the top of my head, I think it's just a slightly higher dose this year. Not much, by like 25 meg. Like,
so what are you running? 37.5 on T3 and then like 100 T4?
I think it's, I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's 50 and 100.
Cool.
But like drugs in general are still pretty low. Like, realistically, I'm 350, 4. I'm only just over a gram a gear.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, it's like 1.05 grams a gear. It's like fuck all. And then
I'm pretty much running more than you just now, and I'm just
we never really push drugs. Like, I think that's one thing with Josh, is he's always very, like, we've spoken about this before, he's very conservative with drugs.
Conservative, yeah.
Yeah, like I've said to him a couple of times before, I'm like, look, I'm not going to be prepping for a while. Like, if you want to fucking push it, let's just push it. Like, it's up to you. Like, I don't feel like I've got any side effects. It is what it is, kind of thing. But he always makes a valid point, and he always says, look, like, it's not an off season. We're essentially just maintaining, like, the drugs aren't going to benefit us really. If we add in an extra 100 meg of trend, for example, it's like, okay, what is the benefit of it? You might get harder, you might look leaner, but if we're going to lose sleep, then
that's the thing. Is like, I never really accounted the stress that like androgenetic load would have on the body. Like, I just see it as more drugs are going to get fucking big.
Exactly. Yeah.
But like, when you kind of break it down and understand the implication that has on your physiology, more often than not, it does harm than good. And everyone definitely does have a certain point of diminishing return. So I think highest my stuff was like maybe 1.5 gram last time.
Yeah.
Which is high. It's high, especially like a 25-year-old. Like,
but how much did you weigh?
I was 114 peak off season, so that's like
200. So you're only like 200-300 meg over like a decent dose anyway. Like,
yeah.
So you're not like fucking blasting a stupid amount. Like, it's high dose. Don't get me wrong. But
I can definitely see this off season that we're about to push up to being probably a bigger one, because like I said, I'm already at like 750 primo, 150 tren, 300 test. I think the trend will be coming out, and then we'll likely replace that for like a mass based, like mass primo. I actually really like that stack. Like, a lot of people say that like mass is just for cutting, but I think it allows you to taper up your test to modulate your E2 and other factors so that you can just get a bit higher.
Essentially, how I see it is like, there's not either drug, like all you're going to be getting, like, don't get me wrong, there is the whole cutting and bulkers conversation, but how I see it is, it's just like, there is an anabolic load, and it's like, if you're increasing that anabolic load, you're essentially just increasing recovery in some way or another. You're increasing that muscle protein synthesis.
I think
that is like I'm very, very basic with how I plan and see things.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're just increasing that muscle protein synthesis, you're increasing your anabolic load, like, you're going to have the same result, whether one thing increases the fucking water in your joints and one doesn't. It's like,
I'm with you there.
Is this, so leading on to obviously you changing coaches?
Yeah.
What's the difference between the load now with your new coach versus
literally an extra?
Well, what do I say? Let's just what happened with changing coaches? Who are you?
So we'll go back to the start. So obviously I was with Cuba for what would have been like 3 years, maybe two and a half, 3 years. So quite a while. Like, I'm not really one for like hopping coaches. Like, I feel like once I'm settled, and there's no point. Again, I was with people before. Like, there's no point hopping coach because you can't really get the most out of it. Like, the
problem is, like, a coach needs a good year or so, like, realistically, to know what's going on. Like, you can hop from coach to coach and see good results, but
I think if you are knowledgeable yourself and have data to at least provide, and you're like a reliable source in terms of that, you don't bullshit, you say like how it is. Like, if you, so for example, I feel like you and I are really like, we know our body pretty well. Like, I feel like for us, we would be able to almost expedite that process of transferring how our body works to a coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like we have a Gen Pop client that's like came in and doesn't really know.
Like any of us could turn around and if you really wanted to, you could literally show a year's worth of check-ins.
Yeah.
To a coach. Not that most coaches aren't going to want to see a year's worth of check-in anyway. They'll just be like, okay, give us an explanation of how things have been, what you're checking, what your increases, decreases, these sorts of things look like, if you've got the opportunity for that information. But like, if you're a Gen Pop, like you said, like, realistically, you're probably going to need that time to understand how each other's body work. But if you've got a bit of experience like us and you have that information and you know that feedback, then
but I was with Cooper for like 3 years, and it was great, mate. Like, I learned so much from him. He taught me there's like levels to this sort of game. Like, he definitely taught me to not skip a beat, to be regimented throughout everything. And I think that I learned a lot from exercise execution to mechanics. I mean, I've always invested in myself in terms of like other resources, but I feel like Kuba was definitely a precursor to that.
Yeah.
You know, like, if I didn't have someone around me at that level, I wouldn't have opened my eyes to all these different avenues. So firstly, like, I would always thank him for that. Like, we obviously did really well when we competed together. but I think there were certain things like had happened. Like I was going through quite a lot just now with changing, trying to get the house, moving gyms, trying to get business moving. And there was just certain points I just thought I was a little bit militant. And for where I am just now, like the reality is like I always want to be optimal, but who the fuck is going to be optimal for 10 years of their life?
Like what
like,
I always say
is periods of acute, like there'll be like periods of like acute optimization.
Yeah.
You know, where and those are the blocks that count. I feel it's like those off seasons that are 5 months where you're dialed in, you know, that's what's going to count. And then in between, like, not that I'm saying they don't count, but shit is eventually going to hit the fan at some point. Something's going to happen. Something's going to throw you out of whack. Like, it's inevitable at some point. And I think that certainly maybe like a lack of empathy towards certain things, and it became almost like militant to the point where, because I was pretty stressed about certain things, like my sleep was suffering quite a lot, and because my workload was getting higher and higher, again, I was getting up even earlier to get stuck into work. So I found that like it's going to bed earlier, later, waking up earlier. My body wasn't really playing ball. Whereas since like obviously making this transition, since kind of almost like leaving it a little bit of stress, like I feel like I've just from like everything's starting to work how it should. And not saying that Tom is not if anyone doesn't know, I'm with so moved to Tom Haynes, who's like evolution training. So I've been wanting to go with Tom, to be honest with you, for like a long time.
Because he also coaches Billy, doesn't he?
Yeah, he coaches Billy as well. So it was either going to be between like him, well, out of the UK, it was always going to be Cooper or Tom. Like there was no other coaches that really like shouted out to me. I think I'd maybe go with like John Jewett. I looked at his prices and he's like $350 a month.
Yeah, it's fucking madness.
I can't afford to.
It's the same with like
I could make it work, but I'm not willing to pay that just now. You know,
it's the same as like Callum Risley. Like again, he's the coach dream because he's going to teach like. He's the coach's dream because I know people who are coached by him and they say like if they want to know something they will ask him and it will be like learning about coaching rather than just bodybuilding. But it's also the acceptability of like, okay, you are paying a mortgage amount of money for for that experience, which is brilliant.
I worked with Callum for like 3 months and I'm not like no discredit him, he's a really good coach, but like I was waiting like 4 days for a check-in. And like to be fair, like I know that like neither of us are like elite tier bodybuilders. Like, you know, we're not like we're just. I think for our age and stuff, we're probably about where we need to be. Maybe I don't know. We're not.
But if you're paying a certain amount of money, you expect a certain amount of response.
There's no difference between me paying $250 compared to someone else paying $250. You know, so it's like. You know, if you're overreached, then you're overreached. But don't just take people on for the sake of it. Either put your prices up or change.
Or cut down your people. One of the two.
So I was with him for a little bit, and like I said, I didn't particularly rate it. But Tom, Callum, they're all pretty comparable. Mm-hmm. Like Joe, you know, their models are pretty similar. But what really appealed to me about Tom was that he works with a lot more bigger guys, whereas he didn't really work with anyone that was like big.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He maybe have like off the top of my head a couple big guys.
Yeah, like he's got a couple of the JP guys that he sort of helps with, but that's
with that, and he doesn't even. They're all with Callum now, to be honest with you. Yeah. It's only Phoebe Hagen that he coaches now, but Kamara, who you used to be with, you know, Jade, he's still working.
They've all moved.
They've all kind of left. Jimmy Tonk, he's away. They've all kind of like left. So for me, it's like, okay, well, you know, if I want to kind of be that standard and be amongst the bigger guys, then that certainly I need to be coached by someone that's used to that. And it's all the same, to be honest with you, but it's just proof is in the pudding. And the condition that Tom gets clients in is like ridiculous. Like not many of his clients don't come in.
He's got the portfolio that if he turns around and he goes, like, this is what I can achieve. Like you're never going to argue, are you? You're always going to go, okay, let's go with him. Like he's got that name, he's got that reputation, he's got everything you need to be confident.
Very knowledgeable as well. He just doesn't shout about it. He's not like Kuba that's like talking about all these exercise things and why we do things. This is the right way to do it. It's almost just like understated, which I quite like.
It's always that like quiet coach in the room, isn't it? It's like him, like Sasan. They're the guys that you don't really hear too much from, but when you like see their clients, you see what they do. It's like, okay, shit, like they're onto something here.
I mean, for me, like Sasan isn't obviously someone that I would work with, but like the quality of like his clients that he's putting out are very good, man. You know,
like he's he's probably, Sasan would probably be one of the only other coaches I would look outside of Josh, because he has such a relaxed point of view.
Yeah. If
which,
that suits the kind of person that you are, then
exactly. Like, speaking about the whole Cuba thing and how militant he is, I knew someone who was coached by Cuba, and he had like a lot going on in his life at the time, to the point where it was like his dad was very, very sick in hospital, work was like through the roof, COVID had hit, so he had like, he was taking over his like dad's business. He was doing like a fucking lot, like a lot, man. And he checked in one week and was like, okay, I've nailed like 90% of everything going on, but I'm living out of a hotel. Like I'm living off of rice cakes and a fucking pre-cooked fish kind of thing. Like I'm like struggling to get everything in, and I'm not going to be able to train this day because I have to go to the hospital to see my dad.
It's like priorities. It's like,
yeah. And that was like, the response to that was like, well, why can't you just get it done in the evening? Why can't you just like, where your priorities lie? Like, yeah, like you should be prioritizing bodybuilding and so on. And my mate was like, my dad's literally in fucking hospital, having fucking chemo.
And you know what I do? I really feel like this process of at least experiencing that has been invaluable to me, because like that stress like in your head, it's going to be so counterproductive at everything. Like I said, my body wasn't working the way it should have been. I should have wrapped this phase up like 2 weeks ago. Now that I'm back from holiday, like things are clicking. Like honestly, like every single day I'm looking at myself, I'm like, okay, I'm getting better. I'm looking further as well. My weight's like holding it. It's really, really interesting what happened. And I think it's just down to that general reduction through stress. And I think it's just been quite good from like an empathetic perspective to see like how it would feel to maybe be on the receiving end of that. It's a bit like, like I said, it would make things more stressful than what they had to be. And that's never really what you want to do. And like I said, I totally respect him, and I would sing his praises till
he's clearly done very well with you. Like, you look at the condition you got, you see what you did. Like it's not a bad combination, but you're just at the point in life where you need a little bit more.
Yeah, and Tom will still give me that bit up the arse when I need it, but like I'm not the kind of person that needs that bit up the arse. You know, I think that
you're driven within yourself. You don't need you don't need a whipping boy. You just need someone who's going to give you the respect and like that you deserve, kind of thing.
At least how it's conveyed as well. You know, it's like, okay, well, let's see what's going on. Let's look at this. Can we make arrangements? If not, we just shift our priority from progression to maintenance across these next few weeks. We'll reassess once things are even, because like I said, when your mind's in loads of other places, bodybuilding unfortunately doesn't pay my bills, at least not yet. And if it did, then that'd be something maybe different. But up until I'm not coaching all these clients and I'm not having to travel where I'm at, then it's something totally different. But I'm very, very excited, and what I'm looking forward to as well is kind of getting kick started in classic now. Like with me, like I never really looked at my physique as classic. Like I'm the first to say I'm not a classic bodybuilder. I don't have like I've got quite long limbs, so I think through the lower I can maybe look okay, and through certain poses I can never pull it off. But like I'm not like a fucking Steve Laureus that has these insertions. Like that's not me. But like for me, it's going to be just like a stepping stone. So instead of me going to novice, I'll just go and fit my weight cap now.
Just using that weight cap as a progression point.
And it's going to be a stepping stone. So for me, I need to get my height measured, because I was under the impression I was like 5'11". So I was 5'11". I've got up to 95 kilos,
which is like it's like a decent runway for stage weight for sure. Like
for me, that's very good. That's 10 kilos of stage weight for me.
Yeah, that's like a good 2-3 years progression. Like.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So that's a lot. And like I said, with my frame, I feel that'll look a lot as well.
Yeah, mate. The thing is with classic, like if you put it in the right places, like you can make your weight cap look very fucking big.
Yeah.
But that just comes down to if you can put it in the right places and if you are going to stay in classic long term, like all those things. But that's
like I said, so that would tend to take me to 95, and then the year after, I'll be top end of heavies.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, it's almost like I've set like mini goals now, and it's almost like more achievable, and in turn that has me a bit more excited, because I've much like yourself, like I definitely do doubt myself, and I'm like looking at some of these heavyweight guys thinking, fuck me, I'm
you have that stepping stone now to see where you're going in the future, and it's like, rather than being like, okay, I've got fucking like 6 years before I can be competitive on stage, it's like, okay, I'm now competitive every single year. all the way up to the point where I'm.
Yeah. And what I quite liked about Tom is that, right, okay, for to go and try and do super heavies, then the reality is you're probably looking at about, by the time you're like 32, 33, by the time you're about that point, especially if you want to go pro, you'd have to be about like 260 on stage. Yeah. And I was like, fuck, that's a lot for my height.
Yeah, that's
so when you broke it down, it was like, well, it kind of makes sense, right? Just to go down this route and try and make the most of it. Like, I know that I'll be able to like hold my own. You know, like I said, if someone comes up that has a stunning classic shape, then yeah, I'm going to lose. But the reality is that 90% of people doing classic now, they're not fucking classic.
Nowadays, you look at the classic standard, and it's just like, okay, maybe
like one or two of them out of the full lineup.
Like that's what I mean. Like, you look at a lineup now, it's like there's 20 blokes, and it's like, okay, 8 of them are men's physique, fucking 10 of them are probably just newcomers who I don't want to get massive, bro. I don't want to get too big. And it's like, okay, you just don't look like you even fucking compete. But and then you'll have 2 guys who actually look classic.
Pretty much. But like I said, for me, I still want to be like a freak. Like, I still want to be massive. I still want to be disgusting.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a stepping stone. And I quite like it because, again, it's another tier of progression. And I've always operated so well off of goals and having something a bit more tangible. Because, like I said, I was saying to you boys the other day, like, I don't know if I'll be competing towards the end of next year. And now I'm like, oh, well, maybe it's a bit more realistic, because I was comparing pictures from like a year and a half ago when I finished my mini cut at like 97. I think it was 97 kilos. I'm 10 kilos up now.
If your top line comes out and your quads come out, that's instantly going to give you the illusion of classic anyway.
Yeah.
So if you've gained X amount of weight since your last show, some of that's going to be in the right place. Like, you weren't far off a classic look anyway. Like, you don't necessarily have that, like you said, you don't have that fucking Steve Loris, Chris Bumstead, like stupid lines, whatever. But it's not like you're not blown out. You're not like fucking. No. You don't look like a fucking super heavy. Yeah. So you can. Yeah, like you can still get away with it. Like, you're not like some blokes who you just look at and you go, yeah, like, what the fuck is that? Like,
and you even get some guys can be the heavyweight or super heavyweight. I'm like, you don't even look like a fucking bodybuilder. Like,
yeah, like it is what it is. Like, everyone's always going to look different, but I think you're in a good position of, you haven't blown out anything in particular. You don't have any like stand out, like something to catch up. Like, you're very good overall bodybuilding. Like, you step on stage and it's like from head to toe, you're in condition. From head to toe, you're symmetrical. Everything's balanced. Yeah, like, you've got a very good place to go to classic, to fucking 212, to fucking open, wherever you want to go. You're going to hold your own.
Yeah. So we've done that. I've got that in place. Feedback from Tom was more lats, more top line, more delt, more arm for sure. Lower half is pretty much covered. Like, my legs are probably one of my stronger points, so they're okay. So I went to 2 on 1 off. Reason being is I found 2 on 1 off like my most comfortable. It's what I progressed the most on. So we went back to that, which I'm looking forward to. I felt like doing push-pull legs, just hammering my recovery, mate. Like, I can't recover from going from pull straight into legs. So having that push day in there, which is going to be 1 lat exercise, I think maybe like 1 or 2 chest, 2 shoulders, or 3 lats, and then a little bit of arms. I'll be featuring arms across every session, but it will be like 2 or 3 sets max. I'm going to opt for higher rep ranges this time. I feel like I've tried like everything. Yeah. I feel like I've tried like everything for arms, so this will hopefully be a step forward. And yeah, let me know what. Oh, sorry, I just got a message from let me know. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I've pretty much like set this split up myself. Like, I'm going to take ownership over my training. Like, I know how to train, understand programming. I know what. Yeah, I can get a lot out of it. So,
because for people that don't know, Tom doesn't do training, does he?
He does do training, but it's high volume. Like, I got a training plan over from him, and I was like,
okay, so it's not like intensity based.
3 sets, like 10 to 15, and like for me,
it's not. Yeah, you're that intensity based, fucking gritty lifting kind of thing.
Yeah, if I did that, I'd be fucking dead, bro.
Yeah, like, it's fair enough.
Can't do that. So yeah, that's pretty much the plan. But I'm really, really excited, man. I'm really excited. It's been a nice, like, fresh injection of life, and hopefully I'll get this little mini cut wrapped up tomorrow, if not next week. I feel like I probably could wrap it up tomorrow, to be honest with you. Like, I feel my appetite's in check, blood glucose is in check. My body fat, I don't know. I need to probably see how I'm looking tomorrow morning. If I need to go for another.
I think from what I've seen in photos and so on, I think you're more than in a reasonable place to start that off season. Yeah. You you could do for another week, but what you're going to gain from another week is so fucking negatable. It's like, all right, if you're mentally ready to just fucking go for it, then just go for it.
And I think it's been quite good coming back from Ibiza and then having this week to kind of reset.
Just get back into routine.
Yeah, pretty much, man. So the more I think about it, the more I'm like, okay. But like I said, I'll speak to Tom tomorrow, see what he says. Tom was on the last check-in when I came back. He's like, right, what you want to do? Like, you want to just like, obviously priorities growing. So I feel like he was saying, because I'd set out a plan, say, okay, after I come back from Ibiza, maybe 2-3 weeks. But this week, because my food is like pretty low and I feel a bit draggy. Like, see, this morning before this call, I was like, I've not had any carbs yet.
Yeah.
And I was like sitting up, I was like, fuck it, I feel like I'm kind of prep, like that feeling where a bit like in between.
Hollow.
Yeah. That's what
you just like stand up, walk around, the wind blows, and you sort of go with the wind a little bit.
Like, man, just like a bit in between, you know. And it's a nice feeling. I said that, I was like, oh, this is very reminiscent of prep, and I don't mind that.
It's like nice for like 4 weeks.
Yeah, and then,
it just gets worse, and you're just like, okay, now the wind is just pulling me wherever the fuck it wants me to go. Like, it is what it is.
Well, thank you. But yeah, it was good. Then obviously came back from Ibiza, which was amazing. Joanna and me went away for a week. It was fucking amazing, dude. Like,
you even had a couple of drinks, didn't you?
Oh mate, just a couple, man. No, to be fair, you know what? I was maybe like, God, there was one night that I maybe like fucked it a little bit, but like throughout that time, I obviously, for people so people know, like I was messaging the boys at like 11 in the morning, like, is it acceptable to drink? I got a fucking Aperol Spritz and it tasted like absolute shite. So if anyone is going to get one, don't fucking get it. It tastes like shit.
Any fucking cocktail to get as a first fucking go.
I just see people with it and I'm like, oh, that looks nice, but it tastes like fucking shite, man.
It isn't anything special at all. It drives me nuts. Every time I've got one mate who just loves that and just anything with champagne in it, and it'll be like straight off the bat, like it'll be like, okay, what does everyone want? And they'll just be like champagne, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, this is
yeah, man. No, I don't get that, man. I was in we went to, so have you ever been to Ibiza?
No, I've never.
Right, cool. Well, do you know what, you, Billy, me, we'll go next year. We'll go away for a long weekend.
Post show.
Yeah, we'll go away for a long weekend. And there's a place like in Ibiza called Delta Villa, which is like the old town, like the original Ibiza, pretty much. And like you go up a castle. It's like a lane. We went to a place called Il Olivo Mio, and it was like an Italian-esque place. And fuck me, I got a couple of like cocktails from there, and they were so strong. I got some mango margarita. I was 2 of them deep, and I was absolutely
swaying,
smashed, mate. Absolutely smashed. And then, so when we obviously paid, they brought us out like some complimentary shots, and she was like, "Do you guys want some limoncello or something else?" And I was like, "Oh, just one of each." But she obviously didn't understand what the fuck I said, so she brought me out 2 of these, and I shit you not, if you were to combine tequila and sambuca. That's what it was. And it was, dude, I had one of them. Okay, I took it and I was like, it was so bad. And I was like, this in front of Joe. I was like, oh, this is horrible.
That
and
instant gag reflex.
I swear to God, mate, it was like when you die in GTA, it's like dong. And it's like, that was honestly 5 minutes later. I was absolutely fucking. I was trying to stand up. I was like, what the fuck was that?
That reminds me of my neighbour. Who's I live in a flat, and just below me, it's like one house, but I'm upstairs, he's downstairs. He's basically he's Polish, and he like collects random selections of alcohol. If he goes on a holiday somewhere, he'll
of course he's Polish.
Yes, he'll get like little absinthe shots.
They're always horrible.
Mate, they're horrible, but he's quite like anal about it, so he won't just get like one of the cheap things. Like, he'll get something which is very nice. Like he always does it. And I remember one day I came home from work, this was like 3 or 4 years ago, and I had a really shit day, and I obviously came back and obviously just looked fucking broken. And he just said, how are you? You all right? I'm like, oh, just fucked, mate, just fucked. And he went, wait there. And he came out and he just had this shot. And I went, what is it? And he went, just have it, just take it. And this was like, I wasn't bodybuilding, I was just playing rugby at the weekends, I was just getting pissed all the time. So I was like, okay, I had this shot, and it was just like iced water. And I went, like, what the fuck is that? And he went, it's absinthe. And I was like, what? And he's like, 98%.
What?
I was like, what? And he's like, medical. We clean things, medical. And I was like, you've basically given me fucking bleach. What?
Fuck,
and he
man.
was like, no, you freeze it and you can't even taste it. And then when it got to like here, obviously it like cooled down,
burning.
and it just went, and I was like, what the fuck was that? And he was just like, but you feel better, don't you? And I'm like, yeah, I feel fucking,
I'm fucking
good. Like 20 minutes later, I was asleep on my sofa. I ordered a pizza. I couldn't move. Like I was basically paralytic after one shot.
Oh man, that sounds so good.
But honestly, like I said to him, like a couple of weeks later, I was like, I need to get some of that off you, because like if you had a long day or just wanted to go out with the boys, but you didn't want to drink, like you could literally have one of these shots. You wouldn't even know you had a shot, and then suddenly you're just like fucking buzzed.
Oh nah, mate, fuck that. They're like the silent killers.
Oh, 100%. Like if that stuff was warm, he was like, you'd fucking cry just at the smell of it, let alone like drinking it.
That's
like,
mad how I didn't even think that you could even do that in terms of freezing it.
Like, yeah, that's what I mean. Like I had no fucking clue, but he was like, if you get like half a decent vodka, anything like that, if you freeze it, you don't get a lot of the taste from things.
That's funny because a lot of people do put vodka in the freezer.
Because I never thought about it, and then ever since that moment, I've always done it.
Shit,
like,
man, yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those little fucking bougie things which I never knew. And then
suddenly, vodka, you can't. Does vodka freeze?
No. If it's higher alcohol content, it doesn't freeze.
Oh shit, man.
So that's why I normally now put all of mine in the freezer if I ever have any.
I remember that one of my mates at school used to like steal his mum's vodka.
Yeah.
And they replaced it with water. Yeah. And like one of the mums came back one day that was fucking frozen. She's like, what the fuck are you
exactly, yeah. And that's why, because it's like if you get some fucking cheap, dodgy vodka from someone, it freezes. It's like, okay, it's not even worth fucking drinking. It's just fucking water anyway.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, man, it was just one of those little things that when you said about it, it just clicked, because like I haven't had that experience other than the stag do I had earlier in the year. And that was just the typical, we were in Prague, and it was the typical like have a double vodka and Coke or whatever, and you get like a glass and it's like vodka, and then just has like this little bit of fucking like 2 drops of Coke in the top, and you're like,
yeah, man, they're just like free pouring over there, man. Like,
yeah, mate,
absolutely no regard for measures.
Nah, it was fucking brilliant for a stag do, but yeah, there's just that moment where you're just like, what the fuck.
So what are your plans for the rest of the day? What are you up to now?
So the rest of the day, I've got one more check-in to do. And then I'm pretty much done for the day, man. I'm in that nice routine at the moment of prep where I'm up, I do cardio, get some steps done, and it's like, okay, it's now like 8 o'clock, people are getting up, people are now doing things, people are checking in, and I can just smash out check-ins within like 2-3 hours, because like I've got enough now in a day where I can get most of them done in like 3-4 hours.
Yeah.
So that gives me the clear to then the rest of the day just like feet up and chill out. But at the moment, it's more just trying to get fucking steps in, because I'm only on 12k, but I just fucking hate walking.
Dude, I'm on 14k and it's 30 minutes cardio, and it's fucking brutal.
Yeah, I've got 35 minutes cardio 5 days a week, which I don't mind doing. I don't mind doing cardio. Like you wake up, have a coffee, have fucking clean and everything, and you just like buzzed off your tits. Things feel amazing. Yeah, so I have that fasted before, like half an hour before cardio.
Yeah.
So 2 IU in the morning, 2 IU at night. Yeah. Don't tell Josh because it's meant to be 1.5, but it's
yeah, fuck the half.
So I look at it and I'm just like, fuck it, just put to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's that's the morning.
One of my mates from like 8 IU, and he would just go for like the 10. Like, I'm not gonna leave that little snaggy bit.
Like it's
a little cable. I mean, there probably is a little bit of a difference between 8 and 10.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, the difference between 3 and 4 is like, I'm not gonna fucking argue over that, but if I was going from 8 to 10, it's like, okay, a little bit more questionable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got that in the morning with obviously Clen, which is still only like 80 megs, so it's nothing crazy. It's obviously higher end for normal dosages, but it's not like
there's been studies done up to like 120 on
that's what I mean,
like cardiac issues for like 3-4 months at a time with no sides.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's that's what I mean. It's not like at a high point at all, but for like a general person who's going to Ibiza, you're not going to push over.
I think that like a lot of people think that Clen stop when you stop getting the shakes, like it's not working, and I'm like, it's just body's acclimatizes to it, and the longer you're actually utilizing it, the more active it is in your system. Yeah,
it's like essentially it's just your body's response to the Clen is like a small adrenaline dump, and that is half of what gives you those shakes. Not adrenaline, but you know what I mean. And then as soon as you get used to that and you don't have that response, everyone's just like, oh, the cleanse bang, I'm fucking used to it, I need to up the dose. It's like, no, it's still working. It's just, you're just not getting that one side effect. It's just, but yeah. So yeah, mornings actually feel really good, cardio in that. And then obviously through the day, the only issue I have now is like, I've been backloading my food because of the sleep issue. So I sort of now have this time period where it's like, okay, I might not eat for like 5 or 6 hours, which isn't too bad when you're doing check-ins and so on. But like, if you've got like a couple of hours and you're just like, okay, I'm sitting here like looking at food or thinking about, can I cook food yet? Do I cook food yet? It's just like, nah, that's about the only shitty bit. But
yeah, I get that.
Like rest days normally tend to be worse anyway, because you're not thinking about, like, you don't have that time training to sort of, like when you're training, you've got like
rest days were always hard for me. Like I remember I had like 3 days back to back on prep that were resting. My food was the lowest it was, and I was like, this is fucking hell.
Yeah. Like you do a couple hours, output's high, your body's like a little bit fucking not wanting to eat anyway, because it's like in that fight or flight. It's like food's not priority. So yeah, but luckily I'm training for the next couple of days, which isn't too bad. But
good, man, good. Right, well, I'm gonna go walk the dog.
No worries, man. It was good to have a little catch up.
This has been really good, man. It's been really good. Hopefully next week Billy will be back. Billy's coming through up to Scotland at the end of the month, and I can maybe bring my laptop and we can do one from over there if the connection's all right.
What the like 30th or the 23rd?
I think it's like the 30th. I think it's like the 20. We can probably do one on the 20. I think we're gonna go out for a meal on the 20. His missus is coming up as well, so Beth, Joe.
You got a lot,
yeah, man. So I think like we're gonna go, but would you definitely do one on like the Saturday or something? That'd be quite funny.
Sure. If it's the weekend before, it's the 23rd. If not, it's the 30th, the last weekend. Yeah. But mate, we can figure it out. I'm sure we'll do something before then anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, definitely.
Yeah, like when we're back, we'll do something, and then obviously we've got a couple weekends to figure something out. Yeah. But no, it's been good to have a catch up, man. It's good to see where you're at, see what you've got going on, because you've fucking changed everything in the last couple of weeks. So it's good to have a quick catch up.
I know, man. Holy shit. I know. Totally.
But yeah, anyway.
Right. I love you.
I'll get this loaded up. So love you lots. Catch you soon.
Cheers, bro.
See ya.